Hello, welcome to Gurukul's CAT 100 series, a series that's designed specifically to take you from your study room to the corporate boardroom. I am Prady Sharma and this is Verbal Mastery with Prady. Hello and welcome to day 94 of our 100 Days to CAT test series. Now, this is a very good passage. If you want to take this up as a test, all you've got to do is go on to www.thegurukul.org.in and sign up for our 100 Days to CAT test series. If you want to follow along with this video, then these will be the first parts of your passage. Pause the video here, read these parts, and then we're going to go into the next parts of the passage. These are the next parts of the passage. Pause the video here, read these parts, and then we're going to go into the questions of this passage. Now, this is the first question of the passage. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we're going to move into the second question. Now, this is the second question of the passage. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we're going to move into the third question. Now, this is the third question of the passage. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we're going to move into the fourth and the last question of this passage. This is the last question of the passage. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we're going to move into the passage and question discussions. The passage says, few realized that the government of China, governing an empire of some 60 million people during the Tang dynasty, implemented complex financial system that recognized grain, coins and textiles as money. So basically, what do I understand? Currency back then, okay, currency in the Tang dynasty was threefold. It recognized grains, cloth and coins. Okay, so this is not cloth, textiles, same thing. Okay. Coins did have certain advantages. They were durable, recognizable and provided convenient medium of exchange, especially for smaller transactions. Okay, so I could use coins for smaller transactions. Why? Because they were durable, recognizable and they were convenient medium. Okay, however, there were also disadvantages. So again, I have two things over here, advantages of coins and disadvantages of coins. So advantages are that they are durable. Yes, they are recognizable. That means you can easily tell the currency value of that coin or what that coin is made up of. Okay, but the disadvantages are that a continuing shortage of copper meant that the government mints could not produce enough coins for the entire empire, to the extent that for most of the dynasty's history, coins constituted only of 1/10 of the money supply. So, disadvantages is that not enough supply. That was the disadvantage. One of the main objections to call for taxes to be paid in coins was that peasant producers, again peasant producers mean the farmers and all, who could weave cloth or grow grain. So they could either make the textiles or grow the grain. The other two major currencies of the Tang, okay, would not be able to produce coins. So these people, the peasant people, they cannot produce coins, so they can't pay their taxes in the coins medium. So that is why they said that, okay, let's not use coins too much. Let's just use it for smaller transactions, because it's a convenient medium. As coins had advantages and disadvantages, so too did textiles. Now let's come to the topic of textiles. If in circulation for a long period, they could show signs of wear and tear. Strained, faded and torn bolts of textiles had less value than brand new bolt. Now what is bolt? Bolt is nothing but a unit to measure fabric. Okay, it's particular dimensions to measure a fabric. So just like coins, textiles also had advantages and disadvantages. Over here, the disadvantages that shown of textiles are that they are prone to wear and tear. That means they get dirty, they get torn, they get used up over the time, and that reduces the value of a textile. Okay. Furthermore, a full bolt had a particular value. If consumers cut textiles into smaller pieces to buy or sell something worth less than a full bolt, that too greatly lessened the value of the textile. So basically a full bolt, that means a complete set of that textile, had a good value, had a separate value, than if you cut it, you reduce the value. Okay. Unlike coins, textiles could not be used for small transactions. As an official noted, textiles could not be exchanged by the foot and the inch. So you cannot just cut a very small piece of textile and say that, okay, this is what I want to get in exchange of this textile. So it cannot be used for small transactions, is what he's saying. Now the next part. But textiles had some advantages over coins. For a start, textile production was widespread and there were fewer problems with the supply of textiles. For larger transactions, textiles weighed less than their equivalent in coins. Since a string of coins could weigh as much as 4 kgs, Furthermore, the dimensions of bolt of silk had remarkably steady from the 3rd to 10th century, 56 centimeters wide and 12 meters long. The values of different textiles were also more stable than the fluctuating values of coins. So, what do I see over here? I see very clearly that textiles had some advantages over coins. One of the advantages of textiles is that production was, too much. There was widespread production. That means everyone could produce textiles, unlike coins which only few people could produce. Second thing, coins, if I want to exchange for a particular entity, the textile would be just one bolt, and that would not be very heavy for me to carry and take it across, but coins would be very heavy, sometimes as much as 4 kilograms is what he is saying. Third thing is that value of different textiles were more stable because the bolt was stable, the measure was stable, value of different textiles was also stable, whereas coins value kept on fluctuating. So there was some change of value of the coins depending on what they were made up from. The government also required the use of textiles for large transactions. Coins, on the other hand, were better suited for smaller transactions and possibly given the cost of transporting coins for a more local usage. So what do I get from here? The government had mandated different uses for different types of currency. Textiles were always for large transactions. Coins, okay, for more local use and smaller transactions. And grain, because it rotted easily, was not nearly as much used as coins and textiles, but taxpayers were required to pay grain to the government as a share of their annual tax obligations, and official salary were expressed in weight of grain. So the third thing, grain, which we've not talked about as the advantages or disadvantages. There's one disadvantage, it's that it used to rot away very easily. That means it used to get bad very quickly. So what did they do? Although it was not used as much as coins and textiles, but the taxpayers, all the people, they had to give some part of the grain to the government, no matter what, as a part of their tax. And all the official salaries used to come out as grain only. In actuality, our own currency system today has some similarities, even as it is changing in front of our eyes. So our currency system is changing, and yet still it has some similarities to what has been presented in the Tang dynasty. We have cash, coins for small transactions like paying for parking at a meter, and banknotes for other items, checks and debit cards or credit cards for other, often larger types of payments. At the same time, we're shifting to electronic banking and making payments online. Some young people never use cash and do not know how to write a check. So basically, just like Tang dynasty, we also have different types of currencies for different types of transactions depending on the situation. And some people do not even know how to write a check. That means some people do not know the value of or how to use one particular type of currency, because the modern scenario, the modern parlance is that it's changing very, very rapidly. Now that we've understood the passage, let's get into the questions of this passage. The first question says, in the context of the passage, which one of the following can be inferred with regard to the use of currency during Tang era? So what can I talk about how the currency was used in the Tang era? Currency usage was similar to that of modern times. Obviously, in the last part of the paragraph, he's clearly saying that it has some similarities, right? So we can infer this. So this is a good answer. Currency that deteriorated easily was not used for official works. In fact, grains were actually given as official salaries, right? So this will be an opposite answer, right? Third one, copper coins were more valuable and durable than textiles. Again, we have seen in the passage that textiles were more durable. You could just keep that bolt over there. Also, that they were more reliable, right? So this is also an opposite answer. Fourth one, grains were the most used currency because of the government requirements. In fact, grains were the least used currency. Again, this is also an opposite answer. So the best possible answer becomes 1. Now let's go to the second question. According to the passage, the modern currency system shares all of the following features with that of the Tang except that. So how is modern currency and Tang era currency similar? Okay, it uses different materials as currency. Yes, we also use coins, banknotes, credit card, debit cards, checks, and they also use grains, coins, and textiles. So this is a similarity. So this is not going to be my answer. Its currencies fluctuate in value over time. Obviously, we have seen over here that there are some fluctuation or fluctuating values of coins, just as we have over here. So this is also not going to be my correct answer. 3, it uses different currencies for different situations. Obviously, that's also similar for us, right? So it's undergoing transformation. Now see, the Tang era dynasty or Tang dynasty era, the coins or currency did not undergo any transformation, whereas right now we are undergoing a lot of transformation. So this would be the best possible answer. Now let's go for the third question. When discussing textiles as currency in Tang period, the author used the word steady and stable to indicate all of the following except. Now, what were we talking about? We were talking about textiles. And why are textiles steady and stable? Yes, they had reliable supply. Okay, anyone could make it. So it was widespread production. No? So there was reliable supply, reliable measurements from 3rd to 10th CE. All of the, those years, they had same measurements for bolt, right? 56 centimeters and 12 meter wide something. Reliable quality, yes, different textiles had different value depending on their quality. What about reliable transportation? We've not really talked about this in the passage, right? So this would be our exception, and that's why it will be our correct answer. Now let's go to the last question of this passage. During the Tang period, which one of the following would not be an economically sound decision for a small purchase in the local market that's worth 1/8 of a bolt of cloth? Now, the important part over here is would not be an economically sound decision. So, what kind of a decision should I be making? I should be making something that is actually bad, something that's giving me a loss, right? So, cutting 1/8 of a bolt of the 1/8 of the fabric from a new bolt to pay for that amount. So, if I'm cutting it from the new bolt, I'm significantly reducing the value of the remaining of the bolt. So, this is giving me a good loss. So, this should be a good answer. B, making the payment with the appropriate weight of grain. In fact, if you are paying with the same weight of grain, okay. You're cutting down your loss. So your grain can get rotted very easily, right? So instead of letting it rot in your home, you're giving it off to someone else and getting that payment off your chest. So that's actually a smart move. So this will not be our correct answer. Third one, using coins issued by the government to make the payment. Now, when I say that I'm using coins that's being issued by the government to make the payment, that is a recommended method. So there's nothing wrong with using the recommended method. That's actually a good method. So we should not be using it for this question. Paying with a faded bolt of cloth that has approximately the same value. Now see, if you're using the faded bolt of cloth, already the value of that has lessened, no? So it's not as big a loss compared to you paying with a new bolt of cloth. So compared to 1 and 4, 1 is a better answer because it's more of a loss for me. So the correct answer should be 1. Now, if you watched this video till here, please do not forget to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel and share this video with a friend who's preparing for CAT 2025. I'll see you in the next video.
Hope you enjoyed learning from today's session.
This series is designed to help you with your CAT preparation and practice daily. We are with you in this journey.
To watch the next video, click here. And to watch Gurukul's CAT 100 series, study room to boardroom, the entire playlist, click here.
If you learned from today's session, like, share, and subscribe.